Hello, welcome. It's the Ohio State Postgame Show brewed by Royal Docks Brewing Company and the Buckeyes. What a week this has been, huh, folks? Not knowing if they were going to play, and then we found out they were going to play, but then we found out there were some players who would not play, and who would those players be? How many starters would be down? Well, when it was all said and done, and we'll get to some of those details here in a second, when it was all said and done, the Buckeyes go on the road and get a very impressive win over Michigan State, who had just defeated Northwestern in their last game, right? 52-12, the final score today. You can see the bottom scroll there. It's got all the stats you need to know from the Buckeyes today as they get the win. They're now 5-0. It is officially Michigan week, and we'll get to that too a little bit later on. But the Buckeyes, the fourth-ranked team in the country, remain undefeated. A hell of a job by Larry Johnson filling in for Ryan Day, who had to watch this one at home because he's recovering from COVID. We found out just before the game that 23 different players were inactive today for either A, they had COVID, B, they were around somebody who had COVID, so they were quarantined and weren't allowed to play, or C, they had injuries. So 23 guys were missing today, 5 starters missing, 3 of them on the offensive line, and yet the Buckeyes go out on the road at Michigan State. Mel Tucker in his first year with the Spartans, as I said, big win over Northwestern. And the Buckeyes dominate this one from the get-go, win it 52-12. Justin Fields showing you why he's a Heisman Trophy candidate without question. His leadership today was phenomenal. His ability to run and throw the football today, ginormous. He was cool, calm, and collected through all of this with a brand new center who was snapping the ball all over the place, left and right, above his head to the ground. It was just an outstanding performance by Justin Fields to be able to take all of this in, remain calm, be the leader, and then go out and produce. And you look at his numbers, 199 yards throwing the football, 2 touchdowns, 104 yards rushing the football, 2 more touchdowns, and just his leadership and his ability to remain calm through all of this was fantastic. The defense, much better than what it's been in recent weeks. And they were down 2 starters. Proctor and Tuff Borland were both out today. Haskell Garrett, it's amazing he's even on the field this year after getting shot in the face. Bullet went through both cheeks, and yet he's been playing from day one, and he had a pick 6 today. They created 4 turnovers on defense. Yeah, they gave up a couple of big plays in that second half, which has been their bugaboo, right? But for the most part, considering everything that was going on, a solid effort by the defense. Hats off, tip of the cap to Larry Johnson acting as the head coach. Kevin Wilson as the offensive coordinator did a nice job today. So all in all, just a good day for the Ohio State Buckeyes as they answered some questions. And we're going to answer some of your questions as well. Send them to us. You can do it via Twitter at the Kenny Rhoda, or at 1480 WHBC if you're watching there, or on Facebook, WHBC or Kenny Rhoda, and we'll try and answer as many questions and react to as many comments as possible. But we've got some special guests that are going to be joining us. In fact, let's bring them in right now. I'll bring in my radio partner from WHBC, the Kenny and JT Show, Monday through Friday, 3 to 7. JT going to join me right now. There he is. What's happening, JT? How are you?
Great day to be a Buckeye, Kenny. That's all I can tell you. A lot of people were nervous about this game heading in. Obviously, coronavirus, 23 players like you mentioned, no head coach there. Buckeyes played well, man. I mean, they put this team away from an early point, and it was, a no-brainer. So it was a lot easier to watch than, let's say, a Browns game.
Yeah, absolutely, without question. And they did a heck of a job. They got the job done, both offensively and defensively. And so kudos to the Buckeyes for even when they had a little bit of a letdown in the second half, then boom, they responded, JT, right? I mean, they gave up the 55-yard pass, the 20-yard touchdown run, and it's like, oh, here we go again. But they nipped it right there and didn't allow it to fester.
I don't know what it is with the number 35, but every time the Buckeyes hang 35 on someone, they play defense for the ensuing possession. But, it's one of those things where it's not as though they let their foot off the gas, so to speak, in the second half. They still had the wherewithal, and I think they were playing. Like, if you watch the game on TV, they kept saying all day long, Buckeyes are playing with a chip on their shoulder. They're hearing what the nation is saying about them. They know what's going on in the Big Ten. They know it's imperative to get to that 6th game so they can qualify for a Big Ten championship. I think with a victory like this in a convincing manner, no matter what happens next week, the committee is going to look at this team and look against what's going on around the country and say whether or not they play Michigan or not next week, this team is capable of being in the Final Four.
Yeah, without question, JT. And so JT is going to hang with us here throughout this show. And let's bring in our third guest. And we are thrilled to have him on board in a number of ways. They are our title sponsor for the Buckeyes Postgame Show, Royal Docks Brewing Company, and the founder of Royal Docks Brewing Company and proud Ohio State alumni. John Bike is joining us right now. How are you, John?
Good. How are you guys?
Hey, we're great after today's win, man. How much did you enjoy that one?
It was a great game.
Yeah, Buckeyes got it done. And I know as a proud alumni, Royal Docks Brewing Company, you got 2 restaurants. You've got one at the airport. They've got the brewery event space that you've got going, a new one that's going up in North Ridgeville. You like to watch your Buckeye games there, right? So you invite people to come out and watch as a viewing party for Ohio State games, don't you?
Yeah, actually, our original tap room located in Jackson Township, the tap room and kitchen, is the official watch location for the Stark County Alumni Association. So when my wife and I lived in London, we used to watch the games with other expats at a location. A bunch of Buckeyes used to get together, and I came back to Canton. I wanted to find that location, and there was no place in Stark County that was official location. And we had reached out to the Alumni Association, and the tap room is now the official watch location.
Nice. So how's that been going through this crazy? We talk about the players battling through the pandemic. JT and I talk about it on the show all the time about the restaurants battling through it. How's that been going for you guys?
It's been rough. I think it's fair to say that the last 4 or 5 weeks have probably been some of the worst weeks in the industry. Even prior to us being closed, we're just in that weird spot where people don't feel comfortable coming out. Obviously, we're not closed. We still have to keep the lights on and pay the bills and so on. So we're just in that weird spot of trying to get, to-go orders, which we do that. You can have it delivered or pick up curbside if you don't feel comfortable being inside. But it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks. Let's say that.
Yeah, we'll keep our fingers crossed, and we've been telling everybody through the Restaurant Association, right, JT, that go out and get those gift certificates, give the gift of food and drink, especially at your place,
we
John,
all
right?
Need it. We all need it. Even if you're stopping in and looking for stocking stuffers or anything like that, gifts to share, gift cards to restaurants, probably the best thing you can do these days.
Yeah, outstanding. And any special brews that you've got going on now? I follow you on Instagram. I follow you on Twitter, and I see the different, specialty cans and specialty brews. Oh, there it is. What's that one?
There's the Leatherhead. So obviously this is the seasonal beer right now. It's a beer we do with the Pro Football Hall of Fame. On the can, there's a contest. You can actually win a backyard barbecue for next year.
Nice.
The Pro Football Hall of Fame is nice enough to include a gold jacket that will be joining at the party. So this is Leatherhead IPA. It's obviously the season for football these days, but we do have our Yuletide Christmas Ale. It's the Christmas ale season. What's really cool about Northeast Ohio is, it's basically where that style of beer was created. So ours is called Yuletide. We also have a beer called Ice Crusher these days. Our Backyard Crusher, the yellow can a lot of people know about. The winter months, obviously, we release that in a little bit different flavor, and we call it Ice Crusher.
Nice. So many different flavor. I like to call them flavors. JT hates it when I do that, but a flavor for everybody out there, depending on what kind of beer you like, right, John?
Sure. We got light beers, we got IPAs, we got dark beers, we got high ABV beers, anything that you'd want. At any given time, we'll have anywhere from 12 to 14 beers on draft. And usually about 5 to 6 different beers that we package. So like right now, there's probably 6 beers that you can get either in 4-packs, 6-packs. We just did a beer with Pav's Creamery. It's called Salted. It's a salted caramel flavor. It's a really nice beer. So like you said, any flavor.
Yep. So whatever your taste buds are looking for, you can find it at any of the Royal Docks Brewing Company restaurants or tap houses and all of that. All right, JT, your thoughts on Justin Fields? Let's talk some football here now.
Before I talk about Justin Fields, excuse me, I just need to wet my whistle before.
Look at
it's a little bit too early for me, and I know I've only got 5 hours until last call, so just let me get a little wet my whistle here.
There you go.
Very good. Well played, JT. Well played.
Very much. Glasses like this. Oh, and by the way, the Fooder House.
We do sell that glass. We do sell that glass. It's a great stocking stuffer. You can actually order it through our website and also have it for pickup or delivery. So
you kept yours. I gave mine away to a lucky winner at WHBC. That was my mistake, right?
Tim Thorpe on it.
Yeah.
Got the Hall of Fame logo on it as well.
Yeah.
And John, real quick before we talk about the game, Fooder House is right down the street from where I live.
Okay.
You guys are doing a lot of outstanding things at Oakwood Square. Talk a little bit about what you guys have been doing in the parking lot.
Yeah, so obviously I think that as a brewery or as a business, we're also big on the experience for the customer as well. We always want to provide a fun, clean, family-oriented environment, and we also do some things throughout the year. Obviously, this year was a little bit different. Most people know us about the keg Christmas tree, which is basically 14 different layers of kegs, almost a world record for a keg Christmas tree. We do a Docktoberfest that we've done before. This year's was a little bit toned down with the help of Kempthorne. They allowed us to use their stage. We had the Shard and Polka Band that came down. So there's a lot of revitalization within the plaza itself. I actually went to Glen Oaks, so I'm familiar with that plaza when it was back in its heyday. And obviously was pretty run down for a while, but Oakwood is coming back, and a lot of new businesses. Shale Brewing Company joined us in the plaza. Yep. You've got the Bistro location there. You've got OSI Tobacco who's about to open there. So there's a lot of revitalization in the plaza itself. And Plain Township has just been amazing to attracting new businesses. There's a lot of programming for next year. The 720 Market is going to be hosting an event there from May to October once a month. There's a car show. There's a lot of things going on there, and it's kind of like the center of Plain Township these days.
It's outstanding. We really appreciate the work that you guys have done in revitalizing that corner, because I've lived here for 25 years, and it's just pretty much been an eyesore for most of the time that I've been here. So thank you for that. Now, Kenny, getting back into this game real quick.
Yeah.
My biggest fear going into this game, forget about coronavirus and the 23 players and the coaching staff and everything else. The thing that was going through my mind is a highly ranked Ohio State team, kind of like 1998. We're ranked number 1 in the nation. I was at the game. Michigan State comes to town. They beat us 28-24. And there goes your aspirations. There goes your hopes for a national title. Now, as bad as that other team up north has been the last 20 years or so,
right,
the big week going into maybe quite possibly the rivalry, yes. But my mind is just set on trying to get back into that Final Four and try to win another national championship.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. Today for me, JT, I thought it was going to be closer. And John, I was a little worried, because, well, the defense has not been looking good. It's on the road, right? And they had just beaten Northwestern, so I thought it was going to be closer. But I just wanted them to win today. I didn't care if it was by 1 point, 3 points, 7 points, whatever. I didn't expect 52-12. I think I had 34-24 was my final score is what I thought it would be. So I'm impressed by everything that was accomplished today with an interim head coach. The offensive coordinator coming down from the booth to call the plays on the field, taking over for Ryan Day, who would call the plays. Kerry Combs in the defense, they looked a little bit more sound for almost 4 full quarters. Drew Chrisman, the punter, he's the unsung hero of this game. 5 punts, he averaged 53 yards a kick, a 74-yarder, pinned him at the 2. So special teams, all 3 phases, for everything that went on, all 3 phases were clicking today, and I came away really impressed with that. Did any one player, John, stand out to you that surprised you? Was it Olave, was it Fields, or did you just like the total team effort there?
No, I thought, obviously it was a high-scoring game, so I was definitely surprised about that. And like you said, a win is a win, and that's, I think, what we were trying to hope for today. Obviously, we hope that nothing develops over the next week so we can get that 6th game, right?
Absolutely. That's the one. Let's bring in our 4 other guests, the 4th member of today's Buckeyes Postgame Show, brewed by Royal Docks Brewing Company, former Orville Maslin quarterback and at the Ohio State quarterback for the Buckeyes back in the day. Justin Zwick joining us. How are you, Justin?
What's up, boys? I'm doing well. Yourselves?
We're good after this win today. Were you at all concerned going into this one because of COVID, interim coach? They beat Northwestern, and the defense had been a little up and down to this point, or were you feeling good about this?
Although Rocky is a great football name, I knew he wasn't a great football quarterback, so I wasn't really worried going into this game. I just didn't think, even though our defense had some issues in the second half of some games, I didn't think Michigan State was going to be one that was going to be able to overpower us. So I felt good going into today. I actually was a little worried when you lose, 3 or 4 guys that would be playing on your offensive line, right?
Right.
That's a little scary because you got your franchise quarterback sitting back there when he's throwing the ball. So that worried me a little bit, but I thought they would, as a game plan, try and just change that around, run master downhill a little bit more and just try and get those guys into the game before they started dropping him back. I don't think they did as much as I would have, but
right.
Justin's a player, and you put him out there, and he made some good decisions. So I thought it went the way that it did. I think I probably called it 49-14 or something along those lines. So I thought it would be about that way.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so tell me as a quarterback what it's like working with a new center, and Justin Fields was out there like a shortstop taking drives to his left, to up the middle, trying to, glove him to his right, and remaining calm and still being able to make plays like he did. What's that like for a quarterback, Justin?
Yeah, I'll tell you, when I didn't even think about that when, because I was doing the Buckeye Fever before the game today, and, all the names come down, and we're like, all right, geez, we got 4 new linemen, or 4 linemen out. We got, guys coming in. I think about, man, we're in shotgun a lot. What if this doesn't go well? And then I'm watching the game, not in my car on the way home, and I'm seeing these snaps going. I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. A new guy playing center and shotgun, that could be dangerous, and it's tough when you don't know when you're back there. You don't know where that ball is going to go. I mean, good thing Justin Fields has a little baseball in his background because you're basically playing shortstop. You're getting in a position where, man, I can go down low, I can jump up high. I'm not sure what's going to happen here, and you just got to be ready every time. I think it hurts the quarterback a bit in ways of, when you're in the shotgun, a lot of times your eyes can be up looking out at what's going on. What is that defense doing? I trust the ball is going to be right here when I snap it, so I can give myself a little less time to be focused on that. So I think we probably missed some of that today, but man, what a great job by Justin Fields, just collecting all those balls. And when he didn't, and he had to stop and grab them off the ground, he didn't try and force anything like we saw against Indiana, which was uncharacteristic. He grabbed the ball and he got downhill and he tried to get back to the line of scrimmage, or he tried to make something happen while taking care of the ball. So I thought he did a tremendous job today.
Such an aspect, it's got to be a nightmare because it's got to throw everything off, from the simplest of handoffs to we saw how it affected the screen game too, and it was just terrible. Kenny, I want to go back to the question you asked John Bicus, and if you're going to hand out a game ball, there's a couple of people on my mind that I want to answer that question with. Now, obviously, the offensive line originally looked phenomenal. They had the big push in the first couple of series, but I'm looking more in terms of the defense, and I'm going to throw a couple of names at you. And one that filled in for a guy that I know you're not high on, and that's Tough Borland. And I'm going to tell you, I think that Justin Hilliard played a lights-out game. He had 4 tackles and an assist, only to maybe be outplayed by defensive lineman Haskell Garrett. 3 tackles, assist, a pick 6. I mean, this guy was a game changer for me today.
Yeah, you know what? That was you told me about him on Thursday or Friday to watch for him at linebacker, and they moved Werner inside, moved him outside today, and I don't know if it was because he was in there, the defense looked better. I think it was a total team effort. They adjusted a lot of things, so I'm not going to say it was just because of him, but I did like what I saw out of him. He got beat on one pass play early in the game, but other than that, he played outstanding. And Haskell Garrett, that story is remarkable. Gets shot in the offseason through both cheeks, went in one, out the other. So on a liquid diet, and he hasn't missed a game or a snap this year. And Justin, and John, will come back to you in a second here. Justin, he's a defensive lineman who can't eat. He's got it's a liquid diet. And he's able to play through that, and not only play through that, this is an all Big Ten performance so far this year out of Haskell Garrett.
I mean, you think about Haskell Garrett's. I mean, we all have had a crazy 8-9 months. I mean, it's been weird. It is what it is. But this guy, I mean, I'm going to say this. I mean, luckily he's not, but he should be dead. I mean, you get shot
right
through your cheeks. You know how close that is to just not being around anymore.
Right.
And then this many months later, he's made himself a lot of money. Actually, my group text with some friends, I'm talking about how this guy come to play this year, and off of a liquid diet. I lived with offensive linemen. I always liked my guys around me. I saw what they had to do to be at the level of weight that they were at. Doug Daddish was not a fat guy. He had to eat Subway sub after Subway sub to try and keep that weight on. So I can't imagine what Haskell's been through just trying to liquid diet, protein shakes.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure you guys have had protein shakes. They're not the most wonderful tasting things in the world, but you're just hammering those down, trying to put that weight on. And he has made sure.
Maybe a lot of beer. Who knows?
Yeah.
Hey, he's a college kid. Yeah, we know what that's like, I guess, right?
Absolutely.
It's impressive, no doubt.
Yeah. All right. So it's the Buckeye Postgame Show, and joined by my radio partner. Let me see how I got to do this here. That's JT, and then right down here, that's Justin Zwick, and over there we go, and down is John. There's John Bikus from Royal Docks Brewing Company, our title sponsor. And John, you were there in Ohio State. You graduated in 2004. What do you remember as a student there, going to games, and what it was like, for the Buckeyes during the time that you were there? You got to celebrate maybe the national championship if you were there and graduated in 2004.
I remember.
I'll just go ahead and apologize for that 2004 senior season you had.
So. Student pass was somewhere around $70. I was actually thinking when you called me earlier today, said, hey, I want you to join us today. I was thinking that this is the first year in almost 25 years that I haven't been in that stadium. So blame it on COVID.
Yeah, absolutely. Always a great time.
We've been running the Heine Gate into the Ozone tailgate for that last 15, 20 years as well. That's all gone too. Here I am having to watch these games at home. It's terrible.
Yeah. And for you, Justin, you're still down in the Columbus area. What's it been like down there on a daily basis with this team as a national championship contender, but nobody's allowed to go to the games? Nobody can join JT at the Heine tailgate party out there, and you're confined to going to a restaurant or staying home and watching the games.
Yeah, it's just strange. It's like everybody else has been dealing with certain things. You have your Ohio State fans that can't go to the games. You can't necessarily go pack a bar. I do a podcast at Roosters every Monday, and they're just like, come order for pickup, please. We can't have everybody in here that we're used to having. I heard you guys talking about the restaurants and how it's been affected up that way with you guys before I jumped on, but it's just nuts. The normal things, the varsity club. Think about that. How many times you guys have all been to the varsity club, a place that ran off of football season? Nobody can go there. Nobody can be there and enjoy the game. So it's just a weird thing.
Sad times.
Yeah, no doubt. Sad times. And, it's nice to have that release on Saturday. I think that does help a lot of Ohio State fans out, just being able to watch them play. The last couple of weeks, I feel like people have been like, what do I do? It's Saturday and Ohio State's not playing, and I don't want to watch some terrible SEC game. So, it's nice to have that break on a Saturday afternoon. And that's really, you got to take what we can get nowadays with the way things are going.
It is disappointing that the decision was made to literally have no fans in the stadiums. At least, maybe a student section spread out would have been just. Even as a student, if you're a freshman there, it's something that you were looking forward to, and the season was basically taken away.
Sure.
Well, and if you've ever been in that stadium when it's empty, it's no fun to be in.
Right.
It's like we used to do our scrimmages there, during camp and stuff. And it's like, this is really weird, just being in this huge place by ourselves down on the field. So it's got to just be an extra weird thing for the players. And I think, I don't want to put too much on this, but I attribute a little bit of our second half meltdowns or second half just whatever to, all right, well, we're up 3 touchdowns. Let's go out and finish this game without getting hurt. And then we see these teams who keep fighting, and they're wanting to win, and we're thinking we already got this game. And they find themselves coming back in the ball game a little. So I attribute a little bit of that to an empty stadium, but that's just the way it goes. It's weird that the state championships were at Paul Brown Maslin Tiger Stadium a few weeks ago with fans in the stands, but hell, we can't do that down here. It'd be crazy.
Yeah, no doubt.
Ohio Stadium for high school games, and there's nobody there. It's an eerie feeling with fans there. To have nobody there, it's got to be ridiculous. And we were talking to Jimmy Jam last week. He does the morning show, Mix 94.1. Lives in Columbus, WNCI. He rode his bike through campus a couple of weeks ago during a game. He couldn't believe it because he's outside of the Horseshoe. Lane Avenue is open for business where it's normally closed, and it's like a ghost town. And you were like, oh, my God, they're playing in there. Can't get in to see it. Can't hear anything. Just eerie, man. Weird.
Yeah, very strange, very strange. Hey, a couple of shout outs here. People that are watching us on Facebook as well as on Twitter. Frank Salona, your man, Frank Salona, watching us. And he says, hey, Kenny, it's officially TTUN week. Sparty on next. Okay, yeah, we know.
Maybe
we'll see. We don't know. That's right. In fact, here, let me throw this stat up. And Justin, you'll like this one. Let's see my banner that I created for this one. There, it's officially Michigan week, and it's been 3,296 days since Michigan last beat Ohio State. So we're going to get into that a little bit later on, but Frank wanted us to remind everybody about that. Craig Easterday is checking us out as he does each and every Saturday. He says, great effort in all phases of the game. Surprisingly good job by the defense. Kept their foot on the gas pedal. Despite all the COVID stuff, a great win leading into the rivalry game. And I want to get all your thoughts on that. The leadership, okay? We know this. You want to call them an organization because that's what they are, a football factory, whatever. We know they have talent. They're one of the top recruiting schools in the country every year. We know that. But leadership, from Ryan Day to Larry Johnson to on the field with Justin Fields. And let's go around the horn here. I'll start up top with JT. John, will come to you, and then Justin. How important is leadership, JT, even when you do have talent like that?
To me, coming out of, going back from high school into college and everything that we've seen, leadership is everything. It's one of the intangibles that we talk about all the time in football. Leadership, heart, these are the intangibles. Now, when you throw into the mix that we've got a lot of talent, now you expect to start winning games like this. And what this game kind of portrayed was the fact that the leadership not only started the coaching staff, but more importantly, took over by the players themselves because of the fact that not only was Ryan Day not there, there was some other assistants that weren't able to go as well. So I think once they got onto the field, because let's face it, Kenny, we signed off the air yesterday, 7 o'clock. We didn't know if there's still going to be a game or not.
Right.
They're supposedly getting tested at 8 o'clock, flying out last night. Who knows what happened? But until we knew that there was a guaranteed pregame, we really didn't know there was going to be a game. So when they showed them on TV and you could see them on the sidelines, I think Herb Street said it during game day. He goes, there's a different feel with this team, and they're more focused, maybe a chip on their shoulder because people are talking about them. People are doubting them.
Right.
When you got to do a gut check. And I think it really showed off in the fact that you win this game 52-10, and you're only a 22.5-point favorite.
Yeah. So 52-12, you forgot the safety at the end. I almost forgot that one, too, on the bad snap over the quarterback's center. John Bicus, the founder of Royal Ducks Brewing Company, joining us, OSU alum. John, for you, what would it be like, with your business? Equate it to a business where you're Ryan Day with your business. You're in charge of your business, and you wouldn't be able to be there maybe for an entire week during an important time in a normal year, and you've got to assign other duty. What's that like for you as a leader, and how crazy would that make you? Because I got to believe Ryan Day was going nuts watching at home today.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. I mean, I've been in those situations either because I'm, out of town or whatever may happen. But I think you certainly have certain individuals that you can wind up and they, exactly what they'll do. So then you have others that, hopefully can work as a team, and they clearly prove that today. So.
Yeah, they got the job done in all phases, and that shows the leadership throughout. And Justin, what would it be like? I don't know. Did you ever play a game without your head coach? Did you ever play a game -3 starting offensive linemen you were used to having there at any level? Tell me what that's like.
It felt like I played a couple games without any of my starting offensive linemen. I'll tell you that a couple times anyways. No, we of course didn't have anything like this. I remember one game, Coach Daryl Hazel, who was our receiver coach, passing game coordinator my senior year, morning of the game, just sick in the hospital. It was just kind of like a strange thing that popped up on us. I had to wear his headset, and kind of he was the signal guy. So that was the first time Tress ever let me put an actual headset on and listen to the plays being called. So that was an interesting thing on its own, but that was the only time anything like that had happened. But it's, I think they did a great job today. You expected them to. Larry Johnson has been, one of the best coaches in America for how long? He's been around the block. He knows how to handle things. Kevin Wilson, coming from Indiana as a head coach, he's been around the block. He's been in those positions. I think those guys probably, leaned on each other a little bit, without really even saying they were going to, but they probably did, just picking each other's brains and trying to figure it out when Larry's trying to make a decision. But, like you guys were talking about, Ryan, and really it starts, in my opinion, with the culture that Urban put into place when he came back to Ohio State. We are going to recruit the best players we can. We're going to get every one of them to sign up, and then we're going to put a culture in place where the best player plays. And we don't care if you're a freshman, we don't care if you're a senior. You just all are fighting for jobs. And it just, that kind of culture, when you get down into something like this, where it's like, man, this is different than what things are usually like, doesn't matter.
Right.
You still got to be your best. And that's what Ryan, I think, has taken, and he's changed it and made it his own. But I think he's really brought that in, and these kids just believe in it. And it's just a culture at Ohio State was, how many – I'm sure we talk about recruiting and how many quarterbacks we have coming. We have probably like 6 5-star quarterbacks like lined up, ready to play for Ohio State. And it's just because the culture, usually you don't want to go to a school that has that many awesome players. You want to go somewhere where it might be, your job. But people just love coming to Ohio State because the culture they have made it into. And, games like this where things are different, that's huge because the kids just go out and they perform and they do what they're supposed to. It's amazing.
Obviously, they have. I feel like there's respect to the coaching staff. Clearly what they did today in the certain circumstances. They, like you said, they had a chip and they wanted to prove it. So.
Yeah, and they went out and did it, guys. And that, Justin Fields was the leader there. The defense stepped up. Like I said, you got your kicker, Blake Hobbill, back. I know that's not that big of a deal. Talk to Tressel about kickers and punters. He'll tell you how big of a deal it is, right? Right? Most important play in sports is that.
It was our best offensive play when I was there. It was amazing.
But it is officially Michigan week. And John, I'm going to.
Hey, we jumping in the lake or what?
Well, I'm going to ask you. Well, and we'll let you go, after this question for you. What's going on with Royal Docks Brewing Company for next? Hopefully it's still a 12 o'clock kickoff against Michigan. What's going on for beer drinkers, OSU alums, whatever, for next Saturday?
Yeah, so we always open for the games. Obviously, we'll be open at noon. Every TV will have the game on. There'll be sound. Pitchers of beer, $10 a pitcher of beer, plenty of Leatherhead IPAs, whatever you'd like. Obviously, like you guys said, we're just always up in the air this season. We don't know if the game is or what will happen this week. So we hope that it does happen, and we'll be ready.
Yeah, keep us posted on the Kenny and JT show, and call in any time, John, with the latest of whatever you have going on at Royal Docks Brewing Company. And thanks for being the title sponsor. Oh, we love you, man. Love you. Thanks so much. And go Bucks. We'll talk to you again soon. All right, John?
Yeah.
Hi-oh. There he is, John Pencus, former Buckeye student, now owns 1, 2, 3, 4. He's building.
I want to ask him, can I get that beer down in Columbus? Do we know?
You know what? I'll see if I can send you some down there. Seriously, I'll see if I can get you some Leatherhead down there. I'll send some, Justin. You've always been good to the show. So
you asked Justin Zwick about a little bit ago, and I don't understand. Obviously, you don't have a good memory, Kenny Rhoda, because when you ask a guy like Justin Zwick a question about coaching, this guy didn't need a coach. I'm pointing the wrong way.
Yeah,
Remember, when they were in high school, he used to call his own plays. And that's why somebody like Devin Jordan ends up with 100 catches one season. He wasn't getting the plays from the sideline. He was calling his own plays.
Yeah, hey, I wish Tress would let me do that more. Maybe I ought to hung on a little bit longer.
All right, guys. So this team today, what did we learn today about the Ohio State Buckeyes? And Justin Zwick, I'll start with you because I had my questions about the O-line with the, JT and I had heard some rumblings during the week it was going to be O-line that was going to be affected, right? So I was concerned about that, and I was concerned about the defense, going into this. So those were specific things I watched, and I'll give you my thoughts on what I saw. What did you learn, Justin Zwick, about the Buckeyes today?
I wish I could say I learned a lot. I just don't think Michigan State was a team where we were – if they had scored 28 points on us, we would have came out of the game saying, we really have some problems. Not the fact that they only scored 10, the defense did look solid. We gave up only a handful of good-sized plays.
Right.
I feel good. I mean, the thing about it is we all forget, and it just is what it is, but we didn't have those 3 non-conference games to start the year to really get a feel for our defense, get the guys out there for the first time, let them go through, let some younger guys in the second half get in there and see who's working with what and what works and what doesn't. We were jumped right into a big season, I mean, that's not the easiest thing to do on a shortened practice camp. All that stuff was weird. So I think it's going to take these guys some time. And unfortunately, that's not something we have a ton of, but they played well against a team they should have played well against, I thought. People want to jump down their throats. Yeah, exactly.
2 or 3 for a reason. Don't be fooled by the fact that they beat their rival, Michigan, but they beat Northwestern, which tells me that maybe Northwestern's not that good.
I guess. I bought too much into the win over Northwestern. I did.
We're all thinking that, okay, is the Big Ten really good or is it Ohio State and everybody else? And that's what I learned. I think it really is Ohio State and everybody else. And the other thing that I learned is this. Without having those tune-up games or whatever you want to call them, with the Bowling Greens and whoever else was on the schedule early, I think now the Buckeyes are starting to hit their stride. Even though they didn't play last week, they failed to be able to really hit that knockout blow against the Rutgers and the Indianas. But a couple of weeks, and even though they weren't on the practice field, it's a much more mature team. And I learned that there's not that big of a drop-off between the starting offensive line maybe and the backups. Yeah. And that's why you've got 33 4- and 5-star recruits at Ohio State. Yeah. And I got to ask you this before I turn it back over to Kenny. We're talking about these recruits that are coming around and how they want to be at Ohio State. You mentioned the fact that quarterbacks from all over the country. We just signed a I think, one of the top recruits, 5-star quarterback from Texas. Now, the kid that came in, C.J. Stroud, was, I believe, a 3 or a 4-star. He's a freshman from California. How is it that you get all these guys to come play quarterback at Ohio State, and yet up north, he has none? How is it possible?
It's really incredible if you think about it, because Ohio State's not a quarterback school. It's not a quarterback-rich history school. I mean, there's not many that went on and did a lot of good league or anything like that, but it's just – I don't even know what the answer is because there's a lot of schools.
I have to interrupt you. Prolific passing-wise, out of high school, between Art Schleister, there was only one other quarterback that came out of high school that went to the Ohio State University as a thrower, and it was you.
Yeah. I mean, it's nuts. I think what we're seeing is it's not necessarily the quarterback position, but it has happened now. So you have how many corners have went in the last however many NFL drafts, top 10 picks. How many defensive ends have went in top 10, top 5 pick in the last 3 or 4 years? Dwayne Haskins goes top 10, top 15, whatever it was. I think you're seeing these kids who are being recruited saying, if I want to go to the NFL, why would I go anywhere else but Ohio State? They're going to get me ready. If I'm the best, or if I'm good enough to play, I know come the NFL draft, I'm going to be good enough to get drafted because I've seen it happen with these guys before me. And I think it's like an NFL factory right now. You look around the league on a Sunday, man, that is it's a commercial for Ohio State football on most every game that you see.
They brought Jim Harbaugh to Michigan because he played in the NFL and he got Andrew Luck ready. He had he took a team to the Super Bowl and he was a play away from winning it with Colin Kaepernick.
And then everybody found out how weird he is, and you keep him around for a while, man.
Yeah,
you're telling me you're going into high school kids' homes wearing ugly khakis and cleats. You're not going to. I mean, these kids are looking at you. I mean, what are you doing? You're wearing football cleats on the road to recruit. I mean, I wanted to like the Jim Harbaugh hire. I watched when they went to Rome or whatever they did. They documented it, and all I came away with saying, he is weird. Like, he's just a weird dude, and I just don't think he can recruit that well. I don't think kids, after it wore off, I don't think kids are saying it was great hire, but then they meet him and they're like, I don't want to be around. I don't want to get coached by this guy.
Did any coach come and sleep over your house like he did with the kicker? Did that ever happen to you?
Yeah. I mean, I had Bowman brought his house plans. Now, granted, my dad had to tell him to go get him out of the car because he wanted to look at them. But, that's the only weird thing I remember. He brought his house plans, put them on the kitchen table, and him and my dad kind of went through the house Bowman was building. But, didn't sleep over, just didn't do those quirky, weird things. I think kids just see through it, and they just don't want to be a part of it. It is strange. He thought he was going to get his guy, and that was the first couple of years. Well, he doesn't have his quarterback yet. And then it just came, he can't get a quarterback.
All right. Let's give some more shout-outs. We've got a lot of people tuning in today. Dave Dale is watching us. Hope things are well with you, Dave Dale. Thanks for checking in. Let's see. Paul Cray, a good buddy of mine up here in the Medina area, is watching us, and he says, my friends who aren't OSU fans think that college football is ruined because of the talent gap. I disagree because Group of Five still has major upsets. What do you guys think? Is it bad for college football that it's Alabama, that it's Clemson, it's Ohio State, and then add in a couple of other teams every other year, but it's the top three, Buckeyes, Tigers, go Tigers, Joe Burrow, one team, one heartbeat, go Tigers. Ed Orgeron down there at LSU, but also at Clemson, the Tigers, and also with the Alabama. What do you guys think?
Justin, go ahead.
I want to say yes, but then I'm just like, well, it is just how life goes, right? The rich get richer. The guys that have the most money or seen the most get the better players. And I'm never going to be mad at watching Ohio State, Alabama play in a college football playoff. I'm just not going to. You can throw a Texas A&M at me, and I'm going to say, I want to see what Texas has against us or what Alabama has against us, not Texas A&M. Just over the years, and even, gosh, I don't know how far back you go, but back to 2002, there's only a handful of national champions, right? It seems like the same teams are always up there, and we're here for it because we want to see the best brand of football that we can.
Right.
And those are the schools that we got to go to get it. So I'm okay with it. I think there's a ton more athletes out there nowadays too, with all the special training and everything that these young kids are getting, to where the MAC and those smaller schools that maybe aren't on that Ohio State level are better than they have been. I think there's more players to go around nowadays. But I'm good with give me Ohio State, Alabama, give me Ohio State, Clemson, and maybe a Notre Dame, or maybe a Miami, or Texas, however it works out. I like that kind of thing.
In order to be the man, you got to beat the man.
Beat the man. There you go.
This is the fact. A couple of years ago, we saw these teams rise up, and an Appalachian State can beat that team up north on any given day. But that's not truly the case. But we thought we started to see that there were more kids coming out of high school that didn't want to sit behind an incumbent starter or wait their turn. Well, now that we're seeing it a little bit different, that the Power Five is putting so many guys in the league that you can play 1 year like a Dwayne Haskins and get drafted in the top 10 and make the big payday, that maybe it's better to sit the bench, wait your turn, play 1 year, and make your move, rather than going to a secondary school, a smaller conference, playing 4 years. It's kind of like the NCAA basketball tournament. When we see the tournament teams that go deepest are the teams that have stayed together the longest. But that doesn't mean they're going to be ready to play at the next level. The kids that are ready to play at the next level are the one and dones. You're going to Kentucky because you want to get to the NBA. You're not going anywhere else to play 4 years and win a championship. If you can go there and win one, fine. But guess what makes more sense? Give me some money.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, Justin Zwick, I'll put this up on the screen. This is from John Razvin. He says, Justin, grab the Leatherhead IPA at Giant Eagle. I still will send you some, but if you need it,
I'm not going to turn down free beer. So yeah,
right. None of us would, right? But you can grab it there at Giant Eagle from Royal Docks Brewing Company. Another question coming in, guys, and we actually got two comments on this. Let's see here. I'm going to use my Facebook comment first. From Craig Easterday, said Trey Sermon had a breakout effort, and then on Twitter we had let me find it here. We had somebody asking about Trey Sermon. Breakout day. Do we need to see more of Trey Sermon because of the speed? What about the running? Master Teague not as effective today as he was in the last game where he ran for 160-some yards and 2 touchdowns. Sermon broke a tackle and took it to the house with his speed. Justin, I'll start with you. Do we need more of Trey Sermon, or do you like how they're using both Master Teague and Trey Sermon right now?
Well, I'll tell you this. If we're going to get the Trey Sermon that made that one run, yeah, I'm here for it.
Okay.
I've been waiting all year for him to make that kind of run. I just haven't really seen it. And I don't even know what quarter it was. It was in the first half. He made, the jump cut. He almost scored on it. I wish he would have. It would have been a great finish. I think that was his best run that he's had as a member of the Ohio State football team. The rest of the season, I think Master Teague had to be the guy that you went to. It just didn't seem like Sermon had the burst or had the confidence to really run downhill hard. It seemed like he went down easy. I think Masters really won this job now today. Yes, Sermon did have some nice runs, and he did create that burst, and Masters didn't get it going. But, Masters been a 100-yard guy most of the game he's played in, so it's kind of hard to say we need more of this other guy when Masters really gotten the job done for us on an offense where if we have a back getting 100 yards, maybe we have 2 backs getting close to 100 yards, and that's a win because we have so many weapons on the outside. Like, we got to make sure they're getting enough touches, to be effective.
Danny and Canton had that question too, and he wanted to know about Sermon getting more reps and everything like that. And I'll say this, Master Teague, we got to remember he's coming off an Achilles tear. So maybe he's not back to 100%. So if he's this good, not at 100%, putting up decent numbers, maybe we'll see more of explosion, JT, from Master Teague as the season goes on or into next year when he is back to 100%.
Look, we're spoiled, right? We've been watching J.K. Dobbins and Elliott and Carlos Hydes of the world. You got a guy that's just not his game. He's not the plant and go in a different direction. He's the guy that you want when you need 3 or 4 yards at a pop. Boom, give the ball to Master Teague. Trey Sermon, you got to remember, he missed out on training camp. He's a transfer. It's his first time here. This was only his 5th game, fellas. He can only get better. And we keep talking about these tune-ups and tune-ups. If this is the kid that played at Oklahoma, he can only get better. Let's keep our fingers crossed and hope he gets another one in next Saturday.
John Pritz Black, DC, is checking us out today, loves talking Ohio State football with us. I want to go back to the offensive line, guys. All right. So one starter played his natural position today on the offensive line for Ohio State, okay? So they went this way across the offensive line, and these are backups, all right? Harry Miller moved from guard to center, and he had some issues with the snaps, a little left, a little right, like my golf game. 6'3", 315 pounds, a sophomore, okay? He's normally a guard. He was your center. Matthew Jones filled in at guard today. He's 6'4", 310, sophomore. Wyatt Davis, your only starter at his normal position today, 6'4", 315, only a junior.
And nice catch as well.
Yeah, that's right. He did. He saved an interception, right? And even though it was for -2 yards, he won't talk about that. He caught a pass from Justin Fields. And then your tackles today, and these are backups. DeJuan Jones, 6'8", 360 pounds as a sophomore, and then Max Ray, 6'7", 308 as a sophomore. So the one thing that I learned is that the depth is there, that they have that talent. It's on the depth chart, and these guys just have to wait their turn. But when given the chance, like they were today, these guys did. Yeah, Justin took a couple of hits I was concerned with, and he got the wind knocked out of him. I was worried about broken ribs. That seems to be one of the injuries of the year and everything. But that offensive, to have those guys to plug in as backups.
Remember this. They not just backups. Justin, they didn't get to practice last week.
Yeah. Yeah. How about that, right?
Exactly.
Hey, we've been out for about a week and a half, but you guys are going to go start this game here for us, right? I mean, think about that. But you also got to think about how much time it takes to just run around a man that is 6'7", 360 pounds when he's not even moving, let alone when he's trying to block you. So it helps that they are that big, right? When they're
I've done that before. I tried to get a free bunt cake from Kenny Peterson. Try running around that.
Oh, that's good.
Timothy Abrig, Buckeyes rule, big win today. Guys, you expect them to stay at number 4 Tuesday night when the rankings come out? I do. I'm not expecting them to move up
I was
or
thinking
drop.
This is like when you beat Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship game, and everybody thought, oh, they might drop, but it was so convincing that they put them right into the Final Four.
Yeah, I guess they just stay the same. I think the committee has kept them at 4, realizing they're not going to have as many games. They probably won't, get to this amount. We're just going to leave them there, and if they keep winning, they're going to be in because an undefeated Ohio State team, regardless of what the Big Ten does with this championship game, that's the only team from the Big Ten that was going to the playoffs. So.
Yeah. Nathaniel Maiku listens to us and watches us every week. Good game by the Buckeyes today. Absolutely got to give a shout out to Aaron Wood because he gave me a shout out. Aaron, thanks for checking us out today here on the Buckeye Postgame Show brewed by Royal Docks Brewing Company. All right, so 52-12 the final. You see the numbers down there. Sermon over 100 yards. You had Fields over 100 yards rushing, almost 200 yards passing. Olave over 100 yards receiving. Haskell Garrett with the pick 6. Special teams did a great job today. Yeah, go ahead, Justin.
I want to ask you, and I just don't know this. Who was it, Garrett or was it Olave that had the streak going of 100-yard games?
Oh, good question.
He was about to tie. He was about to tie Chris Carter, I thought.
That's a great question. Because they both had a number of them. No, that's okay. They both had a number of them this year. So I'll have to look down. I'll see if I can find that before we're done here. Because I thought they were both going to get it again today. The way Wilson started,
it must have been Wilson because you would have heard about it on the broadcast, right?
And he had a touchdown called back because Master T got called for holding, or he would have had 100 yards.
They both went over 100 against Indiana.
Yeah.
Games they went both over 100, and then I think only one of them went to like 3 and 4 games.
Okay, all right, yeah.
And I thought 5 was to tie Chris Carter for the most.
It had to be Wilson.
Yeah,
Olave had 64 yards against Rutgers.
There you go.
Okay, so it must have been Wilson, and he only that touchdown probably screwed him on that one.
It did big time. Yeah. So as a former quarterback, to have two guys that can put up 100 yards weekly like that. What's that do? As good as Justin Fields is, let's give him maybe the best receiving tandem in college football this year. So from a confidence standpoint, from a play caller standpoint, what's that like, Justin?
Well, I think we saw it early on in the year with the way Justin was throwing the ball. Those games where he was 1 incompletion or, 0 incompletions. He just knows, he trusts these guys. I'm going to throw this ball. It might be a 50-50 ball, but my guy's going to go up and make a play. I mean, when you know you have those guys on the outside, it just makes you feel a little bit more secure in making a throw. Even if you don't throw a great ball, well, worst case scenario, these guys are really good. They're going to knock it down. They're going to play defense for me. I just trust them, and I've done it so much with them. So it's huge to have those two guys, and then you throw a couple of really good tight ends. I mean, that offense, man, forget about it. They're stacked, and the only one I can think better would be that Madison Tiger team that was going this year with those two wideouts on the outside. I tell people all the time.
I want to
talk about Maslin.
Right.
When you look at Justin Fields in the pocket, I know there's a couple of knocks. Maybe he holds on to the ball too long. Is he picking up his secondary receivers? What do you see when you watch Justin Fields, even in a game like today?
I feel like he is almost putting too much pressure on it before today, because today I don't think he did it. I think he was putting too much pressure on himself to be perfect. After the first game where, he started having those games where it's like, he's got more touchdowns than he has incompletions.
Right.
Even though you don't want to listen to that, you know it, because you're like, geez, I only had 1 incompletion that game. Or, man, I'm on pace for crazy. I think he was holding on to trying to make the big play when it wasn't there. Or, like you dump it down and take the back here. I think he was just trying to be the perfect downfield and just continue to put those same numbers up, and it just didn't work. And you saw him press like we had never seen him press against Indiana, right? I mean, the guy's played 18 games at Ohio State. 17 of them have been pretty dang good. He had one game where it's just like, who is this guy? What is he doing? Because he's just throwing balls that we had never seen before. And I think it was just him pressing, trying to say, I got to keep this going. I got to, not necessarily I want to go win the Heisman today, but, you're on the streak, and it's just like you don't want it to end. You're riding this this heater, and you just keep trying to get it going. And he ran up against it in Indiana. And I think today, man, you saw him throwing the ball out of bounds, not worrying about it, taking care of it. And it almost felt like that game almost freed him to just say, all right, let's go play quarterback and not worry about being 20 of 21 for 300.
Yeah. I want to ask you this question. When you were playing with Troy and it was apparent that he was on pace to win a Heisman Trophy, was it ever more apparent, and probably not for Tressel because we know Tressel is the ultimate team coach, win at all costs. But at any point in time, did that ever weigh on him that it might be more important to win the Heisman than to win a football game?
No, I'll say this for Troy. During that whole season, man, I mean, you could tell that the Heisman was important, but it wasn't more important than winning. Like, he just felt like he just wanted to win. Now, it was in the back of his head saying, if we do win and these guys do what I need them to do, I'm going to win the Heisman this year. But, he never sat back and worried about that. He worried about playing well to put up good numbers and to be in the right spots. And if his guys wouldn't, he'd be how a quarterback should be to his guys. When they're not in the right spot, they're not, seeing what they should be seeing. And, so that I'll give him. Granted, after he won the Heisman, that changed a little bit on the sidelines and how he played. Yeah. But, that is what it is.
Yeah.
All right, guys, a couple of more things coming in here via Facebook, and that Craig Easterday says, JT, you're right. It's Wilson who had the 100-yard streak snap today as he looked that up. Also, Steve Shaheen is watching today. Is that one of your relatives, JT?
Steve from Baltimore.
Yeah, that's Steve from Baltimore checking in with us. Justin, he's related to everybody and anybody that lives in Stark County. He's got relatives everywhere. In fact, we have a new segment on our show, JT, Guess Your Cousin. And I give him clues to see if he can guess his cousin on the show.
I like it.
All right, Michigan here. Let me change the I'm going to throw this one up before we get to the Michigan stuff. Fair or unfair, this comment given to us by Michael Hanem. The Big Ten sucks. We've talked about how it's Ohio State and nobody else. Is that a fair statement by Michael, who's checking us out here on the Buckeyes postgame show?
I think it is.
I mean, Wisconsin was supposed to be good, and I know they got screwed. You got
to think of this though. We just talked about. JT just talked about how Ohio State might be hitting their stride at the right time because we're 5 games in. Think about how many games the SEC and the ACC have played. I mean, they're up to 10 games now.
Right.
So they have had more of a season to look better.
I'm not saying they're good either, though. Their bottom tier is horrendous.
Yeah, well, they are, and even the top tier.
Yeah,
even the top tier, because it's the SEC is why they're the top tier, right? I mean, that's why Texas A&M or Florida's ranked so high because they're in the SEC.
Right.
I think Indiana's pretty damn good. I think Indiana with Penix at quarterback, who he's now hurt and he's out for the year. I think you put him up against the SEC team. I think they would hold their own. After that, I guess it kind of falls off a little bit. I still believe in Wisconsin a tad. I think they can. I think they ran up against the buzzsaw and Northwestern, and just the timing and all that, good stuff. But I think they'll beat. Well, I don't know what they're doing. They're playing right now, aren't they?
Yeah.
In Indiana.
Yeah.
Indiana
was score on that?
I haven't seen a score recently.
Yeah. Well, I picked them to beat Indiana today, just based off of their quarterback.
7-3. I think just before the half, Indiana's on top of Wisconsin.
But it's just, I think it's been a bad season for college football, period, right? I mean, nobody's played great. It's just been one of those.
We got Notre Dame, Clemson, and everybody else. Same thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, before we move on, I got some notes here I wrote down. Baron Browning, a forced fumble late in the first half, right before the half. Big play, got to give him a shout-out today. Zach Harrison, tackle for loss late in the first half there as well. We mentioned Garrett Haskell with the tip pass, pick 6. Tyreek Smith had a sack, 9-yard loss on Rocky Lombardi and knocked him out of the game. So, some of the guys on defense that deserve some love. Drew Chrisman, I wrote it down, 53, 52, 54, 74 yards. Tressel was probably high-fiving people today somewhere at Youngstown State. President Tressel up there with the way Chrisman performed today. Sean Wade, been hard on him all season because he's been disappointing to a certain degree for a guy that was thinking about going to the NFL and then came back. He had a nice pick. He bailed out Chris Olave, who fumbled the football. On the very next play, he had the interception. So the defense created 4 turnovers today, And hold on, I want to see what I know for a fact they weren't good, but let me get my final stats here. I want to say that Michigan State was terrible on third down. They had to be like 1 for 17 or something like that. They were god awful. Of course, now I can't find my
They have
chicken
2 or 3
scratch.
third downs in the entire first half.
Right.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
So
the defense really played a lot better today in in all different ways, shapes, and sizes, if you will, for a lack of a better term right now. Here it is, 3 for 17. 3 for 17 on third down. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was a good game for the defense going into it. Rocky Lombardi had 8 TDs, 8 interceptions on the year. He's completing just over 50% of his passes. I never was really scared of him going out there and just throwing the ball around the field. So, I mean, it was good. Guys playing different positions, maybe getting some more playing time, playing well. Feeling good about it. I feel good for Sean. I mean, I've been tough on him too. You come back, you're moving outside. You're supposed to be the guy, and he's been on more highlight reels for the other teams than he has of his own up to this point. A great play by him making that catch today. It was an awesome catch. Nicely done by him. So you hope that gives him some more confidence as he moves on throughout the year, because we're going to need him. We play in Alabama. We're going to need Sean Wade to step up and guard one of those receivers and guard him well, because they got a bunch of them. So.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, so it is officially, since we'll put this to bed, 52-12 Buckeyes beat Michigan State. It is officially Michigan week, December 12th, 12 p.m. right on WHBC. Behind me there, Kenny JT Show, Monday through Friday, 3 to 7, but we carry all the Buckeye games. 12 o'clock kickoff next Saturday. What's it like preparing as a player at the Ohio State? We prepare as media members. Fans prepare as fans for that week and that game. Justin Zwick, what's it like at practice? What's it like in the meetings? What's it like on camp? What's it like being a member of the Ohio State football team preparing for this week?
Well, I mean, it's going to be it's going to be a lot different this year than it has in the past. I know that for sure. Back in the day, Michigan week started off Sunday night. We had training table. We were back in the Woody Hayes. We had a meeting, and the Hurricane Bruce would come in, and that's Earl Bruce, who hates Michigan he hated Michigan with every bone in his body, and he would come in every year and just he would share his hate with us, and it would be amazing. And then we'd go out in the Woody Hayes, and we'd do Blocko and kind of mess around with the band. The band would be there. Everybody picks an instrument, and you walk through. Doing Script Ohio and going through so just a lot of little things like that, right? So you're going to hospitals throughout the week, you're doing different events, just luncheons, just being around, saying a few words. And nowadays on campus, every M is, marked out with red tape. I mean, it's just everything centers around that Ohio State-Michigan game and in Columbus on campus. And you just sit here and you hope that they play the game, right? I mean, we're sitting here now saying we hope there's a game, right? So you're gonna have all that, and everybody's gonna be excited. You just hope come Saturday, they're down here and we're kicking the ball off at 12 o'clock.
Yeah, let's hope so. JT, what about you?
When it's so one-sided like this, Justin, and we hear these stories, we grew up with them. Obviously, Kenny and I weren't good enough players in our time to play for the Ohio State University. You were. But we've always heard the fact that they gear up for this game every day of the year. We had Joe Paterno's son on a couple of weeks ago. And we were talking about he came to Columbus for some coaching clinic or whatever it was. And he had heard these stories about how at every practice they do in a play or a couple of plays and gear it up for Michigan. Is that true? Do you guys really – is there something about Michigan at every practice throughout the whole season? And B, have they lost all that it goes into being in a rivalry at the school up north? Do they, not that they don't care about it, but have they lost sight of the fact that this is or was a great rivalry at one time?
Well, at first, I think they have, because it's been so one-sided over the last how many years? I mean, ever since Tress came down there, right? 01, I guess. They've won twice? I mean, they've won twice since 01. I think maybe add one, or
we were on probation or whatever with Luke.
Well, yeah, I mean, you add one, you take one away, whatever. But that's pretty wild, right? I mean, in this kind of rivalry. So I mean, I think Michigan is just to the point where they're trying to be the second best team in the Big Ten, and they just almost think we're not going to beat Ohio State at the end of the year. And I don't think they have any faith. That's why I don't think Harbaugh's been fired, because I don't think they have any faith that anybody can come in there and beat Ohio State. So it's almost like they're just, hey, we had to,
wow,
we just want to be the second best team. We want to go to a nice bowl game. That'd be great for us. The second part of that question was, yes, practice. And I wouldn't necessarily say we had a play or two put in every week. Now, there might be something that we go over and be like, man, we haven't used that game yet. Okay. You might have that. But Tress did have a maize and blue period. It would just always be kind of like in the middle of practice. So we'd have a 20-period practice. Your first 4 are individual. Your next 4 are this, with receivers. Your next 4 are inside run, or, however it works out. There would always be a maize and blue period. And that's all it'd be. It'd be blocked off, and it would just be maize and blue. And we would just do, looking back on them, stupid little drills, running while someone's trying to rip the ball out of your hand, or, just little things that ball security or teach something that is going to be important in that game is basically what Tress kind of made it as, ball control, holding on to the ball. That's going to be important when you get into a rivalry game, right? You don't want to fumble. You don't want those big plays, and you'd always kind of turn it into that sort of lesson. So we did have those periods, not necessarily every day, but enough throughout a week where you saw maize and blue on the sheet, and you knew what it was. So
yeah,
it
great
is
stuff,
right? I mean, it's nuts.
Yeah, it sounds like Urban continued that, and Ryan Day is continuing that as well. So we'll see. Like you said, we're keeping our fingers crossed that we get to that game. And last thing before we bring this to a close, guys, Michigan's not playing today, so we don't know. Ohio State's the first team in the Big Ten that, after missing a week, actually played the second week. Most teams have missed 2 games. So Michigan, will they be like Ohio State? Will they only miss 1 game, or are they going to be out 2? We don't know. So if they don't play next week, Justin, do you foresee the Buckeyes playing another team, or should we not worry about that based on what Barry Alvarez was saying about we've got to put Ohio State in? They're the best representation out of the Big Ten. What do you expect should the game not get played?
I think if they can't play the game, if Michigan can't play the game, I think if you're Ohio State, you got to try and get a game, right? I mean, all you've been hearing about is, well, this 6-game limit. They shouldn't be playing in the Big Ten. If you have an open week, and they changed that rule a few weeks ago, right, where you can schedule somebody who is also missing a game. If that situation comes up, I think they got to jump on it. No matter if it's in Nebraska, no matter if it's somebody they've already played, I think they got to just jump on it just to play. That way they're on TV, they're being seen, they're hopefully going out and playing good like they did today, and they're kind of putting that whole thing of not having enough games to rest, right? I mean, they changed the rules so Ohio State could get in, blah, blah, blah. No, we played, we had enough, we're in the Big Ten Championship, we're winning that, we're coming to the playoff. I hope that's what they would do. I think that's what Ryan would want, because when you look at it, we usually have 12 games. You're only getting 6, so you want as many as you can, right?
Yep. Yeah, I'm not necessarily. What's the reason? How does it benefit somebody that you've already played and destroyed to play you again? Why would another team sacrifice themselves just to help Ohio State, I guess is my question.
Money.
Okay.
I mean, it's simple. You got to get to that team to get paid.
And not to cut you off, JT, sorry, but
no, that's fine.
Nebraska, they were the biggest proponent of us coming back to play football, right? Scott Frost knew he probably didn't have a very good team. He just wanted to play. He wanted to get his guys experience. He wanted to just be on the field because all the hard work. This is a 24/7 job these guys have, and these kids have while going to school. So they want to reward the kids, saying, we're going to let you go out and play, and you've been busting your tail all year long. Let's get this in. If Ohio State called Nebraska and said, hey, you don't have a game, we don't have a game, we'll fly down to Lincoln, and we'll play you. You don't think Scott Frost would be like, I know we're going to get our butts kicked, but come on down. We want to practice some things. We want to get some experience, and we want to get some experience against the best team in our league. So we know where we need to be.
All right, fair enough. Let me throw this We got a question that just came in, a comment from Donald Shapiro. Broadcasters seem to be miffed that the Big Ten will try to help the Buckeyes, but don't realize that the Big Ten pools of all the money from the bowl games and splits among the Big Ten teams. Not doing so would hurt the So, JT, that goes back to your point too. Then you want the best team in there because you get more money if you play in the college football playoff versus the Potato Bowl or the Toilet Bowl or whatever the other bowls are, right?
Right. And I go back to this point too, and the fact that, like what the other caller or the person that texted in and said, is the Big Ten really bad? And if we all agree that the Big Ten is really bad, and I know that the student athlete wants to play in a Big Ten championship game, they get a nice ring for it. But other than that, the schools, they take the money and they split it up amongst the other schools in the Big Ten, which there's 14 teams now, right? So when you think about it, what's more important, playing in a meaningless Big Ten championship or a meaningless bowl game or making your way to the Final Four? I think it's way more important that you put your best foot forward. And remember, if they don't play in the Big Ten championship game, they still get allotted another game to play in. It just won't be the Big Ten championship game. Another tune-up so that the committee can say, hey, they're still the fourth best team in America. We're putting them into the playoffs, and let's get it on New Year's Day.
Yeah. Yeah, I expect
not to mention that whatever game they play on the side, if it's not the Big Ten championship, will be the most watched Big Ten game of that day.
Absolutely.
Right? So that's where the eyeballs go.
Yeah.
And when you're dealing with that kind of stuff, it definitely is going to come into account.
Yeah, well, let's keep our fingers crossed. We don't have to worry about rescheduling or playing Nebraska twice or somebody else twice. That the rivalry game will be held in Columbus. Michigan will come down and get beat by 80 points, and then we don't have to worry about it, and you get to the Big Ten.
Let me just leave you with one thing, too. If there is a Big Ten championship game and the Buckeyes aren't in it because they can't play against Michigan, right?
Right.
They're still the best team in the Big Ten, correct? Maybe all the country. You have a championship game without the best team in it. How's that going to look for the Big Ten? They've already taken a black eye by not getting out of the field early, then changing, midway through, we're going to have a season. So I think they're going to have to do something, and that might be the sacrificial lamb at Barry Alvarez saying, hey, look, guys, whether they play Michigan or not, Ohio State's clearly the best team. Why would we have a secondary game that draws more attention than our championship game?
It's a fair point. It really is. And I'll add one other thing on that. Let's say for whatever reason, the Buckeyes don't play next week, don't get to play in the Big Ten championship game, but whoever they play, Wisconsin or Iowa, they beat them. I can't see the playoff committee taking a worse team that won the Big Ten championship over a still undefeated Ohio State team. I still think Ohio State, even if they don't get invited to the Big Ten championship game, if they play the next game and they end up 6-0, the committee would take them over whoever won the Big Ten title game.
The Big Ten champion is not going to go if it's not Ohio State.
I agree.
That high.
Yeah. I agree.
I mean, you think about it. We beat Michigan State 52-10. They beat Northwestern, so effectively we beat Northwestern. And we're in Indiana. So I mean, you can't say one of those two teams would be better than us. I agree 100%.
All right, guys, that's going to do it. Hey, Justin Zwick, we always appreciate your time. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk to you down the road. Enjoy this week and hopefully the game next week against that team up north. And we'll get you on hopefully before the college football playoff semifinals. How's that?
All right, sounds good, brother. It's good to see you guys, and you guys have a good rest of the weekend.
And I'll get you that beer from Royal Ducks. All right, the Leatherhead.
Do that.
Yeah, send me your address. Text me your address.
I'll do it right when I sign up.
I know you will. See, your motivation right there. That's it. Justin, thanks so much for being with us.
I'm thirsty now after all this talking.
Right.
I need one, yeah.
Sounds good, dude. See a massive quarterback, Ohio State quarterback Justin Zwick, and JT. We'll get into this Ohio State-Michigan stuff, the rivalry, starting Monday at 3 or 3:30, depending on whether or not the governor talks or not. And I'm counting on you to line up some guests as well as I will. Michigan, you know more Michigan guys than I do, so Michigan and Ohio State guests all week long on our show.
Well, we'll start off Monday afternoon with Jeff Logan breaking down the Ohio State rivalry game. And then we'll get the Kenny Petersons, we'll get the Mike Dosses of the world.
Sean Crable, you're gonna get Sean Crable on so we can talk to him.
Sean Crable's hiding from me. Ever since Massillon lost their state championship bid, Michigan's not any good anymore. They don't like to talk about. It's a pride thing, Kenny. And these guys, when you're not, it's a difference. When you're not competitive and you don't have a chance to win that game, it makes it worse than just saying, "Hey, we're going to root for our colors and hope for a chance." I mean, if the line in the Michigan State game during this COVID restrictions with 23 players and coaches not there, and the line was 22.5, and that team beat Michigan,
right? Ooh,
what do you think the line's going to be?
That's a great point. This may be the largest spread ever in the history, regardless of which team is favored,
Right.
with Ohio State this week against Michigan.
There have been shots fired between the two coaches.
That's right.
There's been the talk that I'm going to hang 100 on you.
Yeah.
Depending upon how true that was and who said what, I don't think there's any love lost between Ryan Day and John Harbaugh or Jim Harbaugh, whichever Harbaugh it is.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. All right. I'll see you on Monday for the Kenny and JT show. All right. Thanks. And enjoy the Browns. Hey, you want to be on tomorrow's Browns show? Let me know. We're doing this for the Browns tomorrow as well.
Only
all right.
if they win. No,
okay.
What else do I got to do?
I hear you.
I haven't even showered yet.
Yeah, neither have I. I'm going to work out, then I'm hitting the shower. Hey, tell your brother Nick. If Nick wants to join us tomorrow on the Buckeye postgame or the Browns postgame show, we'll get your brother on.
We'll get him on.
Yeah, we'll get him on. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. Talk to you tomorrow, JT.
Good weekend. Thanks.
JT checking in with us. Kenny and JT show Monday through Friday right here on WHBC. And also, thanks going out to John Bickus, founder of Royal Docks Brewing Company. You see the logo right where? There. Okay, they're our title sponsor, OSU alum. He founded that place, and now they've got 2 restaurants. They've got an airport location at Canton-Akron or Akron-Canton Airport. Brewery, event space, another place where you can go there, and they've got one more in the works at North Ridgeville. They're going to be building one there. So thanks to Royal Docks and John Bickus for joining us. Most of all, thanks to you for checking in with us via Twitter, via Facebook. We appreciate it. We do it after every Ohio State game here on Facebook and Twitter. Like I said, tomorrow we'll do the Browns postgame show as well, so hopefully some of you will join us then. Until the next time, be safe out there. I say it on the radio. I'm going to say it here on the Buckeye Postgame Show. Please wear your damn mask, wash your damn hands, social distance, and treat others like you want to be treated. It really is that simple. And go Bucks!